Hello, I'm Joey Wild and this is my Emergent project, and it is a 3D environment audio music visualizer. Um, Due to the nature of my project, I won't be showing it fully working with the music playing in this video because I need to talk over it and how it works. But I'll explain roughly how I have 8 different elements that are reactive to music, and it is in real time using meta sounds. Upon starting the project, you'll see some information here by the music manager actor just to tell the user how to use it while it's running and also how to select the first song and starting intensity. Because the visualizer has to be calibrated using an intensity variable so that elements will react best to how loud the music is overall. And also selecting a starting color palette, although color palette and intensity can be calibrated during runtime, as mentioned here, using the scroll mouse to calibrate and adjust sensitivity, and using 1 to 5 number keys to change the color palette. Just editing this in here to say that I will include full examples of music playing with the visualizer working in various palettes at the end of this video after my explanation. The floor has a material on it which has opacity directly tied to the total envelope of the music. So it pulses with the intensity of the music. You can see that the color also shifts according to the palette, according to the music itself as well. The speed of the swirling of the floor is proportional to the intensity value. The walls function as a typical 2D audio visualizer, with these bars representing frequency bands. There are currently 40 bands shown, and they actually only present the lower parts of frequency of the song, because that's just what I found to be the most visually interesting. Songs tended to focus on the lower frequencies, so there was more visual interest in maintaining that. These floating shapes here have 2 functions. They both pulse with different frequency bands of the song. This sphere pulses with lower frequencies, with the bass. This star pulses with higher frequencies. And this cube also pulses with lower frequencies, however it has a different function when you cross over into it. Walking into this sphere makes the music apply a low-pass filter over it in real time with the music playing. Going into this star applies a higher pitch and slight speed up to the music, and this cube applies a lower pitch and a slight slowdown to the music. This element here, this cube pulses with the lower frequencies, like the bass, and these spheres, they have no gravity on them, and they're stuck within a collision box by this cube. They have a random force applied to them at different random intervals so to keep them moving, and their color is tied to their speed of movement, and that is also dependent on the palette. You can see that if I change the palette, they change their color range. This element in the center is created using multiple floor tile actors, which react to a collision sphere which spawns when the music hits a certain threshold, and this sphere grows out from the center to then make these tiles react and wave. This is what creates this wave effect. It's a collision sphere spawning at the center and then scaling upwards to reach the outside, making tiles affect themselves on the way. The speed at which the tiles wave and the speed at which the actual collision sphere grows is also tied to the intensity. So you'd have sort of slower waving tiles that wave outwards at a slower pace for lower intensity songs, and you'd have faster waving tiles that wave out at a faster pace for higher intensity songs. I also have UI elements, so using the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 keys allows you to change the color palette during runtime, and you can see in the bottom left there is a little color palette selector that displays which one is currently selected, and it fades away after a second of not being interacted with. Similarly, there is the sensitivity slider on the bottom right, which you use the scroll wheel for, and it also only shows up when you're actually adjusting it. This was actually somewhat complex to get right. I even had to use a logarithmic graphing function to tie the sensitivity or intensity value to different effects of the visualizer. For example, if you have a high intensity song, then you need to turn sensitivity down, and this will dampen the effects and have lower thresholds. Because the song is more intense, you need lower thresholds to have an effect, while a softer song would need to have intensity heightened so that the lower intensity notes can be more readily viewed by everything around you. I believe the song has finished, which is why everything is no longer functioning here. This is how I utilized a MetaSounds asset. So I created my own input, which receives a sound file so that the chosen music can be changed by the user. These notes here are deprecated. This was when I was attempting to create a low-pass filter or a high-pass filter or mid-pass filter using MetaSounds. However, I found a different method to do this, simply using if I can find it, using the low-pass filter frequency from this music component. Back to the MetaSounds asset. These nodes up here simply split the total envelope into low pass, middle pass, and high pass envelopes for affecting the elements I mentioned previously. Apologies for the background noise. Now, this looks a mess. However, it was the only way that I could find to get 40 different output envelopes for the 40 frequency bands, because MetaSounds doesn't allow a way to pass the envelopes into an array that can then be passed to my Music Manager actor. I had to create 40 separate outputs. I played around a lot with what the crossover frequency should be, and this was the one that I found to work best. It goes up to 500. Again, as I mentioned, this is for the walls. It's quite a low frequency limit, but it worked best visually from my testing. We can see here that I tried two methods to just pass the total audio to each band splitter, or passing the final band out of each splitter into the next one. That second method created a more smooth effect on the walls. However, I preferred this visual of having every fourth band being higher. It created a more interesting visual. So sometimes I sacrificed accurate music analysis for a more interesting visual experience. You can see here the method through which I actually got outputs from the MetaSounds asset was using the MetaSound output subsystem, and this looks very inefficient. However, this was the only way I could find it to work, to read 40 different outputs. I tried to modularize this using an array over here, where I would pass the index to then get the appropriate output. However, it simply wouldn't work because it needed a different watch output binding for each of the 40 outputs. However, through my testing, I've found that it does run smoothly, so it isn't a problem. But that's why I've had to have this long string of code for all of the wall's 40 frequency bands. Some issues that I kept having with the project were this floor dots effect kept disappearing. Just occasionally when I'd open up the project and test it. And I found no way to fix this reliably. I kept having to reattach certain nodes to make it work. However, I believe I found a way to mend the problem for the most part. This is how it is supposed to look. However, if you open the project and there is no effect on the floor, it's because of this mysterious issue with the nodes occasionally stopping from working. Another issue that I had was a big motivation for me to move to real-time analysis with MetaSounds, as I'd initially used the Synesthesia plugin, which was non-real-time, is I wanted the user to be able to swap in music tracks during runtime in a built project. However, I still couldn't get this to work because there isn't a way to read files that the user has in the content browser during runtime to create a dynamic array of music files when they drag them into the content browser. So instead, that's why I have this information here by the Music Manager when you open up the project in Editor. So yeah, that's a technical overview of my project. Now I will show snippets from full songs with the visualizer working without me talking over them to not interrupt it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's Barbie and it's Kim Petras. I've been trying to give it to you all night. What's it gonna take to get you all